Clock, I call the meeting to order. Please rise for the flag pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Jordan made the motion to approve the agenda and Mike seconded it. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Lynn made the motion to approve the minutes and Eugene seconded it. Any discussion of the minutes? Not all approved, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The minutes approved. Updates, Board of Adjustment.
We had a variance for Beth Turner and Aaron Jeffson for putting a driveway on steep slopes. And we'll be seeing eventually down the road a CUP for building on steep slopes on their property. That was just up the road from Pickwick. That was approved.
Okay. That was it.
That was all we had.
Okay. County Board.
Marcia's not here.
Yeah, Marcia's not in. All right, Erica, new employee. We'd like to get introduced to a new employee.
Good evening, Planning Commission. It's my distinct privilege to introduce a new person in the Planning Department, Mr. Aaron Locker.
Hello, everyone. My privilege to work for Winona County. Looking forward to many years of interaction with you fine folks.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
All right. The first one is docket PC 04-21-2203. The petitioner requested more time for research. So it's on the table. We're going to leave it on the table. He wants more time to do some research. Okay. Docket PC 06-15-2301. The petition of Jeremiah Bowie for a conditional use permit for a land disturbance activity in excess of 1,000 cubic yards. Eric.
Yeah, I guess, please bear with me. Olivia in our department had worked on this petition, but she's out of town for training this week. So I was going to present the report and the presentation and try to answer any questions. And I think we are also lucky to have a number of the representatives of this one here tonight too for additional questions if you have them. This conditional use permit, it has been evaluated as a conditional use permit. Maybe I want to start out that after deliberation and discussion, it's staff's opinion that it could be entertained as an interim use permit, but at this point it's a conditional use permit. So I think,
I guess I have a question on that right away because the conditional use permit is for a land disturbance activity in excess of 1,000 cubic yards. Now, he can't move 1,000 cubic yards in perpetuity and forever. So shouldn't it be
it could. I think you got two, as I get into this a little bit, you have two things that are going on. One, you have an extraction where they're taking some soil and then you're having it placed in a final spot with a final calculation and configuration that they want to have. So that would be more of a permanent structure per se. But then there is also the extraction part in which erosion control and adequate vegetative cover are necessary. There would be additional permitting. I believe since there's over an acre in question too, they will be subject to the state and federal the NPDS soil erosion stormwater permit as well. So well, let me get into it and see what other questions we can get to. Section of the ordinance is 10.4622, which is a land disturbance activity in excess of 1,000 cubic yards. And some of the planning commission members may note that the old language under the old ordinance prior to 2011 was a 500 cubic yards. So that eliminated a few that are not on steep slopes or in shoreland. But in some cases, we still have activities now that are over 1,000 cubic yards. And this would be one that would clearly fall in that category based on the calculations. I believe they intend to displace between 15,000 and 18,000 cubic yards of material with this project. The parcel is located in the immediate south part of Wiskoy Township, right on the Winona-Houston County line. You can see the blue box, so the project location, that is the existing parcel. I believe it's 160 acres, and it contains a set of buildings, an old dilapidated cabin or dwelling structure. And I believe they may have intent at some point of replacing that dwelling. I don't know the specifics on that. The township road is served by Hanson Valley Road, which is a Wiskoy Township road. And it, I believe it terminates as you get into Houston County, right down at the bottom. It's kind of a local road that comes off of County Road 11, and it's probably about 7 or 8 miles south of Ridgeway. The site plan on the left is illustrating the hatched areas that are steep slopes and bluffs. And it shows the LiDAR, the change in contours. The yellow lines on this map are representing changes in approximately 10 feet. If you really zoom in on it, you can actually see the 2-foot contours. So they've identified the excavation areas that are shown in orange. There's 2 locations, is 1 and 2. Those are the sites that they've deemed the most susceptible for potential collection or removal of material for their project. The purple line is showing essentially where they would like to place the material, almost running parallel with the township road. It would be a privacy berm, and they intend to make it approximately a little over 1,000 feet, 1050, and 90 feet wide, and they'd try to accomplish a 3-to-1 slopes. And most of the discussion in soil excavation, 3-to-1 is about as steep as you want. You don't want anything steeper than that. If you go getting down to 2-to-1, there's long-term stabilization and continual runoff on anything steeper than 3-to-1. So that's typically the optimum slope that they'd like for a final grade with it. They've submitted an elevation. I was out there this afternoon just to take a look at it. They must have had shot elevations with a transit. There's a number of lathe stakes that are representing the proposed achieved location and elevations that they've laid out. Again, showing an overall aerial. I believe it's my understanding that everything would occur on the west side of the township road. I don't believe there's any activity proposed on the east side of the acreage. There is some steeper slopes that they would be removing some, 8 to 25%. Materials needed for the berm would be gathered on site, would be restored to existing grades. Privacy berm would have 3-to-1 slopes. Slopes would be planted with row crops similar to agricultural field. Their intent is to keep it in agricultural production. Top of berm would be seeded with native grasses and vegetation. There's a couple of pictures that kind of show, this is a top of ridge setting. It's not in the valley, so this is, I guess what folks would call a ridge type setting. Again, the parallel would be running parallel with the county road or the township road. This is looking south along the road. It's a view of the existing structure dwelling that was there one time. It's not being used as a dwelling. Doesn't look like it has been for quite a while. Southwest towards the excavation area that they've selected. It would be to occur in the knoll area of the slope. Looking west towards excavation area number 2 is designated on their site plan. And that field is slated to be restored and replanted after the work has been completed. The application was presented to the Pleasant Hill Township Board, or actually I should say, after we found out that there was an error, I believe, in the materials that the county auditor has. I believe they found that they meet the 3rd Monday. So in this case, the petitioner is intending to attend the June 19th Pleasant Hill meeting. And because of the timing issue, a condition has been added to this report, should it be approved and recommended to the county board, that it is a necessity that they receive acknowledgement from Pleasant Hill Township Board before it goes on to the county board for any final consideration. Recommendation is that the Planning Commission consider everything that is in the record, the testimony, the staff report, and the deliberation here tonight. Staff and analysis and draft findings support granting the petition as a conditional use permit, CUP. Should the Planning Commission approve it, staff's also included 5 conditions for consideration. And I just want to point out, we would be looking at their draft SWIP or stormwater permit application as they put that together. And that would be a catalyst to review with Amanda from the Winona County Soil and Water Department to get a report on the completeness and identify any deficiencies or anything that needs to be shored up with it as we go ahead if this is recommended for approval. And I guess just wanted to touch on those 2 conditions. And with that, I'll try to answer any questions, but I might have to defer to the representatives here that are tonight too.
Any questions?
I just have a staff one. I understand what they're trying to do here. The whole idea is they're doing a land altering that's over 1,000 yards. And once that's completed, it isn't been done. So I'm kind of agreeing with the chair that why wouldn't this be an interim one? Because once you've done the excavation, you've reached the final, it's over. So why would
it be a conditional?
If
I think,
interim.
yeah, that's, I think more a consternation just with us later on. It's like, yeah, you know, when we discussed the inception of interim use permits, we envisioned land alterations falling under that as a good candidate, that once they're done with it, they should be. So yeah, I think staff would not have any problem should you change course and recommend it as an IUP.
This land altering, we see clearly what the plan is.
Mhm.
And once they reach their goal, what's the need for excavation?
Right. If there's ongoing issues, you know, there's items that kind of are out there, but they're remote enough that, you know, it's,
Even if this interim was 4 or 5 years, you know, to cover that, it's still, to me, got an ending where some of the conditional uses we get can go on and be transferred to future owners and stuff. But they wouldn't even need this if it wasn't for the land alteration.
right.
I don't know, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, no, that's good good discussion, and I'd say we're very open to that. So after, I think you hear all components of it, Stephanie's here too. She might want to weigh in on that, give some advice. But yeah, I think we're very open to should that be switched to an IUP. As far as statutorily or according to the citation, it's the same section of the ordinance. It's just based on the discussion. That's, I think, some of the maneuvering room you have is to make that change.
Any other questions for Eric?
I have a question. Has it been designated where the fill would come from?
It's coming from that site, from that property in
Down
two
the
areas.
valley, or
It's still on the ridge. It's on, as the staff report indicated, it's roughly a 6 to 20% slope in some places, but they've identified in their packet that it would be from that parcel or from that acreage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious how deep you have to dig. I mean, it looks like a pretty big area that they're excavating, but I'm just wondering how much of a hole will actually be moving 1,000 cubic yards.
It's just about the answer. There, those would be the areas that they would
Okay,
excavate and would be just filled.
I see. Yeah, thank you.
Create that. Yep. Everybody else.
Do you have any idea of that, Eric? Big a hole will be dug?
One of the representatives here tonight specializes in excavating trade, so that would, I don't want to misspeak.
Any other questions for Eric? All right, thank you.
Yep.
Petitioner, do you want to stand up and what's your spiel and come up? You have to come up to the podium. You have to name and address.
Eric Viner, Trumplow, Wisconsin, Quarter Horse Lane. And I work for Jeremiah Bowie. And where we're going to be taking this fill from, when we take it out, it's all going to be, the topsoil will be stripped off, and then where we take it from is going to be restored back into the farmland, is what it's going to be. So it won't be a hole that's dipped. It'll all be, at the most, the top that we're taking off will probably be like, oh gosh, 3 to 1. It won't be over 3 to 1. I know that. Steep slope, so. There definitely will not be a ditch or hole left there at all. So,
I have a question.
sure.
What's the depth to bedrock or depth to rock in that area? Because it seems like
varies.
it's a hog's back and it seems like
Right, it varies. It's varied. I did a couple potholes out there and it varies. It goes down 12, 13 feet down.
okay, so there's quite a bit.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Eugene, you got a question?
I was gonna ask the same thing you did.
Okay,
and
We
for the,
both tried
Sure.
to farm these rocky knolls for a long time.
yeah. The privacy burn is what we do, is we do quite a bit of, we do deer hunting. It's Jeremiah that owns it, and we're getting quite a bit of poaching of deer. Like people come along, so privacy berm is to actually, it's for the deer, to give more. So there's not a lot of poaching going on.
question I have is that the berm is on the west side of the road, correct?
Yes.
What is the elevation of the berm versus the height of the road? Is it lower than the road because of the slopes down, or is
It's
it?
higher than the road. It'll be higher than the road.
The question I have is, are you making a snow trap for snow? Because on the west side.
No,
the
because
drifts-
we got the power line right there.
Okay,
Is
You're
there,
gonna
and
be
then
far
plus
enough
we're
away?
30, our toe of our slope is 35 feet from the power line. So what would you say? How far are we from the road from that? Would we be?
Over 15 feet below the power line, and the top of the dike will be lower than the road.
okay, so the top of the dike will be lower than.
Yep, the top
Okay,
of the dike is 1310, and the road is 1319. So you're
Okay.
9 feet below the top of the road.
Perfect.
And I don't know exactly what the measurement is from the road. Like I said, the center of the High Line pole, we gotta be 15 feet back before we start the 3-to-1 slope. So the top of that dike is probably 25, 30 feet from the road.
Anybody else have any questions for him? Just a quick question, and this is totally not on anything, is wouldn't a chain link fence be cheaper? Or, you know,
Well, see, we're gonna plant native grass all on it, you know, forward.
Mhm.
We want to look as natural as possible. Want to put up a privacy fence too, but that doesn't look, you know.
okay. That's just what came to my mind, because I know what it costs to move dirt. And it's like, okay, Jordan.
I noticed there's a culvert under the township road that kind of shoots out right in the middle of this. Are you intending for that to hold water?
Nope, there'll be a 3-foot 36-inch diameter culvert going in there.
Okay.
It sounds like the berm would help kind of preserve some of the deer habitat as well
Correct, wildlife, all the wildlife.
versus a fence. Fences aren't always.
I know, I get it. I just had that question when I was reading it all. I was like,
Sure.
And the top of the
Thinking
berm
dollars
is
and
90
cents.
feet wide.
Well, that's the bottom.
The bottom.
You know, by
Okay.
tiny 3-to-1 slope.
Okay.
It's gonna vary because, you know, due to the fact of the contour of the land, it'll vary.
The very top of the dike will be about 10 feet, 8 to 10 feet wide.
Okay.
So you could actually maintain the top of that dike.
any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
I move we open the,
I'll second.
Thank you.
Public
Eugene,
hearing.
motion to open the public hearing, and Jordan seconded it. All in favor of open the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The public hearing is now open. If anyone wishes to speak for or against the petition, please step forward, state your name and address and what you'd like to say. Who's watching the phone lines today? Stephanie, is that you? No? Ann?
What you see up there is.
Okay. Just keep your eye on that so no one's hollering at us. If anyone wishes to speak for or against the petition, please step forward, state your name and address and what you would like to say. Okay, for the third and final time, if anyone wishes to speak for or against the petition, please step forward, state your name and address and what you'd like to say. Crickets.
Motion to close public hearing.
Mike made the motion to close the public hearing and Louis seconded it. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The public hearing is now closed. What are our wishes?
Motion to approve with the conditions of fact.
Findings of fact and conditions. Eugene?
Are we going to take and change this to an interim use permit or,
We can discuss that.
okay, well, let's do that before,
Yeah, we are, right now, I'm just gonna say, right now, we have a motion on the floor.
yeah, I understand.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay,
Except for
he
discussion.
withdrew the motion.
We need a motion to
Well,
change it.
do we have to have a motion before we can have discussion, or can we have discussion?
Discussion before a motion.
Yeah, we can have discussion right now. What are your thoughts, Eugene?
Well, I think that, if I understand what I've heard here correctly, we should make it an interim use permit because we all know that a CUP, that's for the until the courthouse closes. And that might be a long time. And at least this way, there should be some methodology to take and change things if we deem it's reasonable.
So does that make sense with the erosion control standards and all the land management practices that we need to abide by during the lifetime of the land
I-
formation?
Don't think that's affected by it, correct, Stephanie? That's so separate. This is, and because he's applying for land disturbance activity in excess of 1,000 cubic yards, that's what we're making an interim.
Not applying to have a berm. He's
Right.
applying to move the
Right.
land in order to do it.
Okay,
And the berm will be there in perpetuity, that's not a problem. And yes, the maintenance on it will still be required, but it's just not gonna be, continuous to have it move 1,000 yards.
I thought that was something Eric had mentioned when he said that's why they considered it conditional.
So we,
If we're gonna make this a conditional permit, how much time would they need? Can we ask the petitioners?
Stephanie,
You don't have to have a set amount of time. You can make it contingent on an event, and the event would be the completion of the berm.
okay, because you never know, they could, by the time he meets through the county, it could start raining and not quit and might not get started till next year, you never know.
I would be all for that, Mark.
We could use a drink, I'll tell you that much.
Let's pass it.
Crops are not doing so good. Anybody else have any other comments, questions, or does someone have a motion?
I'll move it as an intermediate
Okay,
permit and with the findings.
findings of fact
And the changes.
And the
and
change.
the changes and an interim. Stephanie,
I have some proposed language for you to change that, the finding that regarding this petition, the proposed use does have an identifiable date or event for termination. Once a firm has been created, there's no longer a need for further land. Got to put this in, we would also include in there. That it's valid until the firm has been created.
I recommend that the extraction site stabilize with cover.
right. Is that okay with the applicants?
Yeah.
That was the plan.
I'm asking the applicants there, they're okay with it. Yeah, it shouldn't interfere with anything. It's just a legal thing on the end of the. All right, is everyone? So that's what you made the motion on.
Now we need a second.
Now we need a second.
I'll second.
Lynn second. Okay, Louis made the motion to accept with findings of fact and the word changes that are shown on the screen. And
Change all of the conditional to
Yes.
yes,
Mhm. Mhm.
and Lynn seconded it. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Your next hurdle is the county board meeting Tuesday, July 11th at 9 a.m.
And you understand that you got to get this thing from your town board before,
That's in the condition.
That's a condition, and that's in
Yeah.
the condition.
well, right, but if they don't, Stephanie, then it wouldn't go to the county commissioners?
Or we go to the county commissioners and they apply it.
Oh, all right. All right.
Find out on the 19th.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next. Turn the page. Docket PC 06-152303 to consider the petition of Lauren Lundeen for a commercial recreational short-term rental structure and proposed campsite. Eric.
Okay, again, after receiving the materials, staff has reviewed this as a conditional use permit. Since the commercial activities involving multiple sites that are dispersed throughout the acreage on this parcel, involving campsites and structures. It's similar to maybe a private campground. We've had a couple of these in the last number of years. And it's under 10.469 of the ordinance. And it's in Whitewater Township, section 28. And I just wanted to point out that there is 2 Whitewater Township roads, Fisher Hill Drive and Governor Road. And this is a respective of the acreage in which the applicant owns. The first site, apologize for the aerial on the right, it's been kind of inverted, but this would be the petitioner's application. He makes a reference in the application about an old schoolhouse, and it's his desire to renovate that, fix it up, and turn it into almost like an Airbnb or a rental type structure for people to come and stay on that. This is a picture. The photo on the left is showing that intersection of Governor Road and Fisher Hill. That is in the one corner of the property. And that's looking to the south at that point into the petitioner's property. And this overview, I just wanted to point out the main considerations. This is that picture of the schoolhouse that they would like to use as a site. They've indicated this is a camp site. And along Governor Road to the south, they've indicated a potential structure that could be used for rental here, as well as a campsite. And also, in addition, there's reference to the existing structure that's located on the bluff end right here. Okay, this picture is, maybe I'll point that out where the picture was taken. This is along Governor Road. It's about right here, looking along the tree line, looking back to the east. This is along Governor Road. You currently see on the aerial, there's farm equipment that's parked in a small meadow pasture area. And this is the area that they wish to potentially have a structure you see on the right, as well as campsite. The applicant with these sites has put some generalizations as far as what would be provided for them and what would not. I just wanted to point out that the sites would utilize composting toilets, have sanitation for solid waste. There'd be no running water, no septic, no power. These are all primitive and rustic in nature is what his intentions are at this time. Again, this is just showing the sites and how it's kind of with the acreage in question, kind of showing the points of interest. And the picture on the left is looking back to the north along Governor Road. Just wanted to point out too, the petitioner does own this parcel as well. Not part of this request because none of the activity is to occur on that, but it should be pointed out that he is also the owner.
Eric, with that part that you're seeing right there, where is that located on this one?
That picture was taken right here,
Okay.
looking to the north.
Okay.
Couple highlights. Petitioner did present this application to the Whitewater Township Board. They signed the form on May 30th and they indicated no comments. The Planning Commission consider everything that is in the staff report, the findings, the testimony tonight, anything else that is part of the deliberations, and make your recommendation. The report as stands tonight is analysis that supports granting the petition as a conditional use permit. And should the planning commission move to approve, staff has proposed 7 conditions for consideration with this request. And the applicant is here tonight too, so I guess if you have some questions, I guess I'll do the best I can or defer to him.
You
Yes.
mentioned these building structures. Are we looking at something that's going to need a permit like a house or a garage or a shed or?
Yes, a development certificate is required for a structure that's bigger than 200 square feet. That's either 10 by 20 or larger than that, or $2,000 in construction value. That's our threshold for a zoning permit. In some cases, irregardless of whether a permit's required or not, they still need to meet setbacks. We do review structure locations from property lines, roads, bluffs, those type of things.
Anybody else have any questions for him? No? All right. Right. Would you like to come up? Your name and address and then tell us all about you.
Yeah, my name is Lauren Lundeen, 12269 Fisher Hill Drive, Plainview, Minnesota. That's, yeah, basically what he said there. A couple of Airbnbs. The schoolhouse will be located a mile, just about exactly east of where it originally was built on the hill there. The neighbor is going to tear it down. Kind of a history guy. I like seeing things rebuilt, fixed up. I work construction, so actually recently fixed up the town hall in Beaver, the last standing building down there. I guess anybody got any questions?
What about the structures? What are you looking at on some of those? I guess I'll just.
Well, there's only one other one, and I don't know. I just, being as though I was doing the CUP, I just threw it in there, and then I, put it all together.
Down the road a ways.
Right. Yeah. So it would be, there again, it'd be an old building. The old man's got an old woodshed, I guess, something like that. Turn that in, or maybe a grain bin. I don't know.
Hey, Carly.
How much time of the year would you be using this?
But it just depends on the amount of people staying there, I guess,
Could even be winter.
Yeah, could be winter, yeah. So
Wouldn't necessarily be a 6-month or could be a 12-month.
well, I know there won't be anybody there in there for 12 months continuous.
No, but I mean, if somebody wanted to come for a few weeks here during the winter,
Yeah.
January, February, or.
But you got to also remember there's no running water, so people want to shower, and if they want to really rough it, which most people don't, it's
I mean, that's a possibility.
possible.
You won't see me there.
Any other questions? Anybody?
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Alrighty.
I make a motion to open to the public.
Second that.
Arlie made the motion to open the public hearing and Jordan seconded. All in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye. Aye. The public hearing, those opposed say nay. Okay. The public hearing is now open. If anyone wishes to speak for or against the petition, please step forward, state your name and address and what you would like to say. No one online or anything, Ann? The same. If anyone wishes to speak for or against this petition, step forward, state your name and address and what you would like to say.
This is Eric Hanlon, 10832 Fisher Hill Drive. And I am not adjacent to the property. I'm down the road quite a ways, but my wife and I don't have any issues with this. So I would say we're for it.
Thank you. Anybody else? All righty. If anyone wishes to speak for or against this petition, please step forward, state your name and address and what you would like to say.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Jordan made the motion to close the public hearing and Louis seconded. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The public hearing is now closed.
Motion to approve with the findings and facts.
Second that.
Louis made the motion to approve, including the findings of fact and the conditions. And Jordan seconded. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The motion passed. Your next hurdle is Tuesday, July 11th at 9 a.m. in front of the county board. Thank you. Turn the page. Anything else that needs to be brought forth at this meeting?
One question, did we accept this continuation of the extension?
Well, we didn't take it off the table, is what we didn't do. It was tabled before. We didn't have to do anything. We just left it on the table.
Okay.
It's still on the table. Didn't fall under the table or anything
That's
else.
what I'm,
It's on the table, but it's staying on the table. All righty. Mike made the motion to adjourn and Louis seconded. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.